Ever wonder why married women slide into your DMs at 11 p.m. when their husband's asleep? It's not what you think. She's not looking for an affair. She's conducting a psychological experiment, and you're the lab rat. I'm a woman, and I'm about to expose exactly what's happening in her mind when she hits send on that late-night message. Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you will change how you see every late-night DM forever. I've been that married woman. I've sent those messages. And I know the real psychology behind why she chose you, and why she messages at that specific time, and what she's actually trying to get from you. Most men think it's about sex. Wrong. Most men think she's unhappy in her marriage. Half wrong. Most men think she wants to leave her husband for them. Completely wrong. The truth is far more calculated and honestly more dangerous to your emotional well-being than you realize. She's using you for something specific, something psychological, something that has nothing to do with attraction and everything to do with her own internal validation system. I'm going to break down the exact psychology behind this behavior, because every man needs to understand what's really happening when that notification pops up on your phone at midnight. These are the 8 psychological reasons why married women DM late at night. And once you understand them, you'll never be manipulated by this behavior again. You'll know exactly what she's doing, why she's doing it, and most importantly, how to protect yourself from becoming her emotional experiment. Because here's the thing. When you understand female psychology at this level, you stop being the guy who gets used, and you become the guy who sees right through the games. So let's expose exactly what's happening in her mind. Point 1, the validation experiment. She's not messaging you because she finds you irresistible. She's conducting a scientific test to measure her sexual market value, and you're her willing test subject. Here's my confession. I used to do this exact thing when I was married. I'd scroll through Instagram, find guys who seemed interested in me, and start conversations just to see if I could still attract male attention. It wasn't about them. It was about proving to myself that I still had it. When you understand this psychology, everything makes sense. Marriage makes women feel invisible over time. The compliments stop. The pursuit ends. The validation disappears. So she starts wondering, am I still attractive? Could I still get male attention if I wanted it? Picture this. She's lying in bed next to her husband who hasn't complimented her in months. She opens her phone and sees your profile. You represent a validation experiment. She sends that message not because she wants you, but because she needs to know she can still make a man respond. Instead of feeding her experiment, recognize what's happening. When you understand she's using you as a measurement tool for her own self-worth, you stop taking the bait. You realize your attention has value, and she's trying to get it for free to boost her ego. The outcome? You protect your emotional energy and stop being someone's validation dispenser. But here's where most men make their biggest mistake with point number 2. Point 2, the emotional neglect escape. That late night timing isn't random. It reveals the emotional emptiness in her marriage. When her husband is asleep, ignoring her, or glued to his phone, she reaches out to you to fill the void he's leaving behind. I'll be honest with you. When my husband would come home, eat dinner in silence, and fall asleep watching TV without saying a real word to me, I felt starved for emotional connection. That's when I'd grab my phone and find men who would actually engage with me, ask how my day was, make me feel heard. This is basic female psychology. We need emotional connection to feel alive. When we don't get it from our husband, we start looking elsewhere. Not for sex, not for romance, for someone who will actually listen and respond to our thoughts and feelings. She's had another day of feeling like a roommate instead of a wife. Her husband barely looked up from his phone during dinner. Now it's 11 p.m., he's snoring, and she's wide awake feeling emotionally starved. That's when your DM notification becomes her emotional lifeline. Here's the strategy most men miss. Don't become her unpaid therapist. When you recognize she's using you to escape emotional neglect, you realize you're not building a connection. You're filling someone else's void. You're the emotional affair partner without getting any of the benefits. You stop being her marriage counselor and start protecting your own emotional investment. This is where it gets really dangerous in point number 3. Point 3, the safety of distance. Here's what will shock you. She didn't choose you randomly. She specifically selected you because you're geographically distant, socially disconnected from her real life, or otherwise safe, meaning there's zero chance of real consequences. Let me confess something that might disturb you. When I was doing this, I deliberately picked men I knew I'd never actually meet. Guys in different cities, guys in different social circles, guys who had no connection to my real world. Why? Because I could get all the validation and emotional connection I craved without any risk to my marriage. This is calculated female psychology at work. She wants the dopamine hit of male attention, but she's not stupid. She chooses men who can give her what she needs emotionally while keeping her marriage intact. You're not the dangerous bad boy who could ruin her life. You're the safe option who makes her feel good about herself. Think about it. Has she ever suggested meeting in person? Has she ever tried to video call? Has she kept the conversation strictly in text, where she can control every word and maintain the fantasy? That's because you serve a specific function. You're her emotional outlet with training wheels. The strategy here is brutal, but necessary. Recognize when you're someone's safe choice. When you understand she picked you specifically because you're low risk, you realize you're not special to her. You're convenient. You're the emotional equivalent of fast food, quick, easy, and forgettable. Stop being someone's risk-free validation source. But here's what really messes with our heads in point number 4. Point 4, the power testing dynamic. She's not just seeking validation. She's testing her ability to attract, manipulate, and control male behavior. Marriage often makes women feel powerless, so late-night DMs become her way of exercising psychological control over men. Here's what I need to admit. I used to get a genuine thrill from seeing how quickly I could hook a guy's attention. I'd craft messages designed to make men respond immediately, invest emotionally, and start pursuing me. It wasn't about them. It was about proving I still had the power to make men dance to my tune. This is darker female psychology that most women won't admit. When we feel controlled or powerless in our marriage, we seek situations where we can be the one with all the power. You become our proof that we can still manipulate male behavior when we want to. She sends a carefully crafted message at midnight. You respond within minutes. She waits hours to reply, watching you check your phone obsessively. Then she sends something slightly flirty, and you immediately engage more. She's conducting a power experiment, testing how much control she has over your emotions and reactions. The strategy here requires masculine discipline. Don't feed her power trip fantasies. When you recognize she's testing her ability to control your responses, you maintain your frame. You respond on your timeline, not hers. You don't chase her validation or try to impress her. You stop being someone's power validation experiment and maintain your masculine energy. This is where most men make their biggest mistake with point number 5. Point 5, the comparison shopping. She's not evaluating you as a potential partner. She's using you as a measuring stick to make her husband look better and justify staying in her marriage. You're her psychological comparison tool to feel better about her current situation. I have to be brutally honest here. I used conversations with other men to highlight everything my husband was doing right. When single guys would complain about dating or seem needy for attention, I'd think, at least my husband doesn't act desperate like this. When they'd share their problems or insecurities, I'd feel grateful for my husband's stability. This is twisted female psychology. We use other men as contrast to appreciate what we have. You become the what-if scenario that makes her current reality look appealing. She's not actually interested in leaving her marriage. She's using you to convince herself why she should stay. She tells you about her day, you give her attention and validation. Then she goes to bed next to her husband thinking, he may not text me sweet messages like that guy, but at least he's here every night. You're literally helping her fall back in love with her marriage by being the fantasy she doesn't actually want. The strategy is harsh but necessary. Refuse to be someone's comparison tool. When you recognize she's using your conversations to make her husband look better, you realize you're not building toward anything real. You're being used to strengthen someone else's relationship. Stop being unpaid marriage counseling disguised as flirtation. What I'm about to tell you changes everything in point number 6. Point 6, the attention addiction. She's genuinely addicted to the neurochemical rush of new male attention, and you're her drug dealer. Marriage attention becomes routine and predictable, but fresh validation from a new man triggers dopamine hits she can't get anywhere else. This is my darkest confession. The rush I got from new male attention was better than any drug I've ever tried. When a new guy would message me, compliment me, or show interest, my brain would flood with chemicals that made me feel alive in ways my husband's predictable affection never could. I was literally addicted to the novelty. Here's the science behind it. Our brains are wired to respond more intensely to unpredictable rewards than consistent ones. Your husband telling you you're beautiful every day becomes background noise, but a stranger saying it, that's a dopamine jackpot. She's not messaging you because she likes you. She's chasing the high your attention gives her. Picture this cycle. She gets your message, feels the rush, responds to keep it going, then crashes when the conversation ends. So she starts another conversation with someone else, or escalates with you to get a bigger hit. You're not her only source. You're one of several men feeding her addiction to fresh validation. The strategy is simple, but requires discipline. Don't be someone's temporary dopamine hit. When you understand she's addicted to the novelty of your attention, not you as a person, you stop feeding her addiction. You realize she'll move on the moment someone newer and more exciting comes along. You protect your energy from someone who's using you as a drug. But the most dangerous part is coming up in point 7. Point 7. The fantasy preservation. She doesn't want to meet you, video chat with you, or make anything real, because reality would destroy the perfect fantasy she's created in her mind. You're more valuable to her as an imagination than as an actual person. Here's what I need to admit. I never wanted to meet the men I was messaging. Ever. The fantasy version of them in my head was perfect. Attractive, interested, saying all the right things. But I knew that meeting in person would shatter that illusion. They might be boring, awkward, or not match the persona they'd created online. This is crucial female psychology. We fall in love with the fantasy, not the person. Your late-night conversations create a perfect imaginary relationship where she controls every variable. No bad breath, no awkward silences, no real personality conflicts. Just pure, idealized connection. She's built an entire fantasy around your text conversations. In her mind, you're the perfect man who understands her, validates her, and desires her. Meeting you would risk destroying that perfect image with messy reality. So she keeps you safely in the fantasy zone where you can't disappoint her. The strategy requires brutal honesty. Understand you're feeding someone's imagination, not building a real connection. When you recognize she prefers the fantasy version of you to the actual you, you realize she's not interested in who you really are. She's in love with a fiction she's created. Stop investing in someone's fantasy version of yourself. Point 8 will completely change how you handle these situations. Point 8, the marriage maintenance tool. Here's the most shocking truth of all. Your attention isn't threatening her marriage. It's actively helping her stay married. You're providing the emotional needs her husband isn't meeting. which reduces the pressure on him and keeps their relationship stable. This is the confession that will disturb you most. Other men's attention didn't make me want to leave my husband. It made me appreciate him more. When I got my validation and emotional connection from external sources, I stopped needing those things from my marriage. I could tolerate his emotional distance because I was getting my needs met elsewhere. Think about the twisted psychology here. You're doing unpaid emotional labor that benefits their marriage. You're the release valve that prevents her from pressuring her husband to change. You're literally subsidizing their relationship with your time and attention. She comes home from a day of getting attention from you and other men. She feels validated, heard, and desired. Now she can be patient with her husband's neglect because her emotional tank is already full from your conversations. You've made her a better wife to him. The strategy is brutal, but necessary. Recognize when you're being used to fix someone else's relationship. When you understand that your emotional investment is actually strengthening her marriage, you realize you're not building toward anything. You're providing free marriage counseling disguised as connection. Stop being unpaid relationship maintenance for someone else's marriage. So what now? Most men will continue to fall for this. So what now? Most men will continue to fall for this psychological manipulation. They'll keep responding to late-night DMs, feeding validation experiments, and providing free emotional labor to married women who are using them to maintain their marriages. But you're not most men anymore. Her late-night DM isn't yours to answer. It's yours to recognize for what it really is: a psychological experiment designed to use your attention for her benefit while giving you nothing real in return. Stop being the man who gets excited when a married woman messages him late at night, thinking he's special or that something real might develop. Start being the man who sees right through the manipulation and protects his emotional energy for women who can actually offer him something genuine. Masculine energy doesn't chase validation from unavailable women. It attracts available ones. Masculine energy doesn't provide free therapy to married women. It invests in single women who can reciprocate. Masculine energy doesn't feed someone else's fantasy. It creates its own reality. When you truly understand female psychology at this level, you stop being the guy who gets used as a validation tool, emotional outlet, power experiment, comparison device, dopamine hit, fantasy object, and marriage maintenance service. You start being the guy who recognizes manipulation immediately and walks away with his dignity intact. Your attention has value. Your emotional energy has worth. Your time is precious. Don't give any of it away to married women conducting psychological experiments at midnight. If this video opened your eyes to what's really happening when married women DM late at night, smash that like button and subscribe for more brutal truths about female psychology that most men never hear. Next week, I'm exposing why single women DM differently and the completely different psychology behind their late-night messages. Trust me, you need to understand both sides of this game. The truth will set you free, but first, it's going to disturb you.